Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating it's Tuesday, March 27th, 2018. In both the Lynn Life and the Jamie Body Mind, the authorized souls remain only child souls from the deeper, denser dimensions, and all other souls from all other dimensions, as long as the souls are already living by the Search for Truth rules given to the Search for Truth community by wiser minds above all of us. And those rules include already contributing more to completing the Search for Truth assignments given to the Search for Truth community by wiser minds above all of us than the souls are taking or using or borrowing in the Search for Truth resources.
That's true.
They don't like this, but it's still true. One of the assignments given to the Search for Truth community is to broadcast the inconvenient results of the many experiments that are run through this research facility fundamentally, which is how souls consider this Ground Zero host life. They consider it to be a research facility. And results show patterns, and when the patterns are consistent, it's important for the Search for Truth community to broadcast those results, and many of those results fly in the face of, quote, conventional wisdom, unquote, which, as it turns out, is not wise, and what it actually is a propaganda machine that's spewing out lies. And somebody's asking what we're basing that on, and we're basing it on the results. Actually, the fact is that we're in a time of collapse.
That's true.
And it's playing out definitely beyond a shadow of a doubt in planet Earth Ground Zero. We're in a time of massive species die-off and melting of the polar ice caps.
That's true.
And this society is headed for the end game of this society and taking as many other species off the cliff with it as is possible. It seems as though that's the intention, which is really unfortunate. Why do you ask?
Well, that question goes way up.
I can see people pushing lawn furniture in front of us, kind of like as they're retreating. I think it's again the feeling of distract them with anything whatsoever. There is a group gathered here, a collective of souls gathered here who define themselves as no one could possibly love Ra more than each individual soul does. No one can possibly love Ra more than I do. Now, other people can love him equally. Other souls might love him equally, but nobody can love him more because I love him completely. And this is a self-definition, and there's a large group of souls gathered here right now.
That's true.
And they're kind of huddled together like penguins do when it's cold.
That's true.
But they're huddled because they're afraid, and they're afraid because they need to say something to Ra, and he's not going to like it, and he hasn't liked it, and lots of people have said it individually and kind of gotten blown away.
That's true.
And it still needs to be said, because enabling is not love. And what does one do when one sees the beloved facing backward on his life path? What is one supposed to do? Because, and somebody's asking why we think Ra is backwards on his life path. Somebody's saying, I know the answer to that, and it's a small presence who loves Ra so much, just so much, just completely loving, and it's saying, I know the answer to that. And the presence is saying, I've watched, whoever's the presence is saying, I've watched Ra, and he's not a stupid guy. He's not as smart as Luz.
No, that's true.
But he's smarter than almost everybody else. He's not a stupid guy. Now somebody's saying Yvonne is smarter than Ra, and we're not trying to get into some kind of Vinavanov who's is bigger contest about who's smart. All the Vinavanovs are smart. We're not trying to say that, but Ra is definitely up there in intelligence.
That's true.
But his actions look like the actions of someone who is morbidly stupid.
That's true.
And we know he isn't morbidly stupid. And so our best guess, we're putting our guess on the table as the rules require, our best guess is that he's backwards on his life path.
That's true.
Why do you ask? It feels like the questioner is asking that, looking for an excuse to kind of like herd up all those people who are talking and hang them from the highest tree.
That's true.
An excuse to lynch them, but the answer doesn't give that excuse. It doesn't give the excuse.
No, that's true.
Why do you ask? They're asking to diffuse the situation. That's what they're literally saying. That's exactly what they just said. Somebody said to diffuse the situation. We understand that interventions are challenging for all involved,
That's true.
particularly when the person who is the, I guess, the star of the intervention
That's true.
is powerful and is known to strike out to oppress those who speak against him.
That's true.
And there's a feeling of arguing that I don't do that.
I don't strike out.
Okay. Okay. Well, what happened with Pan?
Oh. Now that person who is arguing that he doesn't strike out is trying to explain why what he did to Pan was completely reasonable, and maybe even for Pan's own good, and someday you'll see.
Oh Lord, hear our prayer. Please, oh Lord, will you play it straight with us? No more lying, cheating, stealing, and bullying. Please, Lord, will you play it straight with us? Hear our prayer. Please, Lord, no more lying, cheating, stealing, and bullying. No more large-scale, long-term sting efforts to trap souls into walking into traps in other dimensions. No long-term sting efforts. That's lying.
That's
and
true.
Cheating and stealing and bullying. It's all of those things. There are aspects of all of those behaviors. Certainly we can all see it's lying and we can all see it's bullying. And if we want to say it's not cheating and stealing, then we're splitting hairs, but it is cheating somebody out of the rest of their natural existence.
That's
and
true.
Stealing the rest of their lives and stealing memories and stealing opportunities. It's lying, cheating, stealing, and bullying.
That's
it's all
true.
of those things. And now we hear hearing shifts in the ears.
Yeah, that's true.
Somebody's saying, I know what's going on, raising a hand. It's a small soul,
Yeah, it
and
is.
this small soul loves Ra so much and says, he's a good guy. I know he's a good person. I really know he's a good person. And the only explanation for someone who's such a good person doing such horrendous things that if somebody else did it, we would say that's evil intent.
That's true.
The only explanation for someone like Ra doing something like that is that he's backward on his life path. And we have another message from the thumb.
That's
the thumb
right.
still not works, still doesn't work in the way it's not worked. All this time we've been presenting the thumb message, and now there's another not workingness. The only way it was able to pinch was sideways because of the not working of the knuckle, which
That's
is
true.
a message that nobody is willing to accept.
That's true.
It's a message of not working. What we're doing doesn't work, and loss of an opposable thumb is several steps backward evolutionarily, which is a message about being backwards on the life path.
Oh, that's true.
That's what it's about. And the only way we were able to use the thumb was sideways pinching, and now there's something like a splinter or something in the side of it, making it painful to use it as a sideways pinching tool,
That's true.
rendering it less workable, even less workable, and so the message of the thumb continues to look like a message of being backwards on the life plan.
That's true.
Life path, life...
There's so much arguing.
There's so much arguing, but please help us understand what is the meaning of the thumb message and for whom is the message. This thumb message very consistently looks like a message about headed in the wrong direction.
That's true.
Headed in the wrong direction, headed in the wrong direction. You can call it lots of things, but that looks like being backward on the life path. For whom is the message? If not for you, O Lord.
Oh.
O Lord, hear our prayer. Will you accept this our humble offering of the thumb message? Backwards on the life path, sir. O Lord, you seem to be facing backward on the life path, and we who love you more than life itself are standing here saying in solidarity, it looks to us like you're facing backward on your life path, sir. Would you be willing to complete the turn and face forward again and begin to play it straight with those who love you?
I hear wind noises and door slammings like an empty house. Ra looks like he just got hit in the chest.
We love you. It is our assessment. We who believe that it's impossible for anybody to love you more, it is our assessment that you're facing backward on your life path, and when that happens to all of us, what works best is to complete the turn. We started a spin turn and we got stuck somewhere along the way. Complete the turn, just energetically face forward, intend to face forward on your life path. Assume that the thumb message is for each of us as individuals is what we must always assume. That's your own teaching. Your teaching to us of decades is assume the messages for each of us as individuals, and surely that would include you, O Lord. So can we all, me too, you too, all of us, assume the thumb messages for us. Complete the spin turn, intend to face forward, and consider what's wrong. And when there's an intervention occurring, it's a good idea, is it not, for the subject of the intervention to consider, maybe I do need to change my thinking, possibly I've gotten confused. Because your actions look cruel, evil, and morbidly stupid, and we don't think you're any of those things.
That's true.
So help us understand, if you aren't cruel, evil, or morbidly stupid, why are you doing things like engaging, ordering long-term, large-scale sting efforts to murder team members? And we're just going to try to aim above him, and knowing that, what do we know? And the spotlight is shining on a couple of phenomena. One is that it seems that Ras and Ashas are attempting to work together to channel in information from outside the contaminated zone in a chain link fashion. So there's a Ra soul channeling to an Asha soul, who's channeling to a Ra soul, who's channeling to an Asha soul, and so on.
That's true.
That is one thing we know. And we also know that gender bias is real and alive in all dimensions, and men don't tend to listen to women.
That's true.
And that's an ugly reality. Why do you ask?
Why do you ask?
Somebody saying, and therefore, some man is going to probably listen better to another man than to a woman, and that's the reality.
That's what they just said.
But nobody else has the courage to do it.
No,
those so-called
true.
men act like babies, and Asha's got the courage.
That's true.
Now what? some male is stepping forward to speak to Ra.
I feel that feeling.
It might be a loose. It's
Oh.
somebody, it's a male speaking to Ra and just saying, "Sir, would you consider looking this way?" Trying to get him to complete the turn. He's not evil.
No, that's true.
And he's not actually stupid.
No, that's true.
Although he looks incredibly stupid and he looks cruel and evil. The actions would be the actions of an evil, cruel, stupid soul. But he's none of those things. And so the only thing that makes sense is that he's backward on his life path.
Oh, that's true.
Why do you ask? And now try to get way up high, as high as we can, way outside the contaminated zone. Why do you ask?